The Pentagon might be the United States' defense wing, but even those defending the land sometimes take decisions that might not be that sensible. The Pentagon has been making some puzzling moves lately as they've launched something that UFO specialists have found to be quite confusing. We've mentioned UFO specialists because the Pentagon has launched a new office that has been made strictly for the identification of UFOs in the sky. This is certainly something fishy, as the Department of Defense shouldn't be having any concerns over UFOs. For more interesting videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and make sure to press the bell icon to be notified of our upcoming videos. Nevertheless, we shall be breaking down this entire situation with views on our own and how we expect this entire situation to thin itself out in the coming time. Before we get into this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon for notifications. When you look at things from afar, this is undoubtedly quite bizarre. It's simply because of what precisely a country's defense sector has to do with unidentified flying objects. Moreover, it isn't that they randomly just decided to look at unidentified flying objects. Instead, they made a dedicated office for it, which they shall be using to track such activities. The reason people are at a crossroads with this is that they can't decide whether this idea is a historical one or one that's going to help the US government build on conspiracy theories. Of course, things like an interplanetary war or controlling our skies are still a pretty far-fetched conclusion to draw, but it is pretty hard to call an outcome this early when the United States is in play. Right now, Joe Biden might have more than just the nuclear codes on his finger. Who knows? He might already be communicating with aliens as we speak. Now that he has a whole office dedicated to this entire thing in his inventory. The establishment of the office was planned just before New Year, and as the turn of the year came about, these plans were revealed to the public. Upon hearing the news, many researchers, scientists, and activists raised their eyebrows. The people who believe that we aren't alone in the universe now might get to have a go at all of this, since the right people and right equipment might be put into place. Studying unidentified concepts and creatures is risky in its way, but since an entire movement has been designed for it, there is no doubt it'll be taken forward. Are they out there? Some have called this decision of creating a new office for their benefit to bring new resources and services into the country. All of it gives life to a phenomenon that might not even be out there. Or it might be, but all of it is just speculation right now. Since it is speculation, then all of it is also a national security threat that the world may not be ready for because of how complex the entire study of this matter is. Senator Kristen Gillibrand, Democrat for New York, came up with another theory of her own. She said that these external powers which aren't present on Earth might be challenging the dominancy of the people of America. So their national security will make sure to put in all the efforts and do their job in aerial supremacy and phenomena that will wipe out any of these powers present. She certainly might not represent the majority of American politicians, but this is a bogus statement to make, considering that there might be a force out there explicitly trying to bring down the land of the pure, and it's too fictitious of a plot to sell. It's been years ever since the UFOs were last studied in detail. This is why this could bring about hope of optimism amongst those hyped for this venture and the things that could be in store for them. These people might be wondering for years why the country doesn't pay attention to such matters, but now that can be finally put to rest. Does it deserve to be a cause of the celebration? It may or may not be. On the one hand, there are the enthusiasts of this all who would like none other than their theories being proven right. On the other hand, there are pessimists. Then again, they are pessimistic and wary that their fears prove accurate. Things might go south. A new UFO office has convinced people that there could be a secret behind this, which the government is covering up. It could well be the greatest secret in the country's history, as many people are having a hard time believing that the feds will want to do anything else other than clamp down again after several years, ever since it became acceptable for ex-presidents and CIA directors to talk so openly about objects they would have seen in the skies. Speaking of conspiracies, the people on social media also have their fair share of fun. A social media account by Above Top Secret is the hub of ufology and conspiracy theories. This account has discussed whether or not the creation of this UFO office represents the beginning of revealing secrets to the world or covering it up for good. When the United States government is involved, you can never be sure what will happen. Also, these theories are just from the top people and their heads, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. but the two likely possibilities mentioned by above top secret cannot be ruled out in all honesty. This is because it has a history of secrecy, and anything that isn't talked about by people openly is subject to misuse if it ever ends up in the wrong hands. The reason people are so sensitive on this topic is because control of information is essential. Information like this cannot go out to the people without consulting the right people first. Yes, new resources will be dedicated to this matter. Still, it is a possibility that a significant number of resources have been assigned to this industry by the government, deeply with the UFO industry also being at the thick of it. Luis Elizondo and Christopher Mellon, the former government insiders who helped spark interest in unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, as they are more commonly known now, by publicizing videos from military aircraft, applauded Gillibrand's amendment, but worry it was watered down before final passage and will be buried by the Pentagon. It is the biggest security agency globally, and covering up for them won't be an issue at the least, especially a matter of this priority. One of the most famous conspiracies that have come across ever since this news resurfaced was that the military is trying to hijack the real problems that are going around. Mick West, a famous UFO debunker who is particularly hated by ufologists, was incredibly stressed. He stressed that the military needs to get their priorities straight because they won't be getting things done like this. If they are fighting against something that doesn't exist to fool people, then they're doing a darn good job. Moves made by US departments and officials. Activists have complained about the lack of involvement from civilians in this new office, and they assume that the office is simply going to classify whatever interesting news it finds. You have Dr. Stephen Gear, a retired surgeon and someone who retired from his position because he wants to locate aliens. He self-describes himself as a world expert on UFOs. He is of objection that UFOs shouldn't be treated as a national security threat. Instead, he believes in the complete opposite. He believes that the aliens are here to assist humans, and the military sector is exciting them up and classifying them as dangerous. Since they have been classified as dangerous, if they ever set foot on Earth, then there will be a space force that will be needed to face them. That is to see for some other time, because news coming in that the United States Space Force is preparing for war with these aliens is rubbish. It's simply news told from people to generate hype and clickbaits, nothing else. National security is worried about these extraterrestrial beings. The Department of Defense has moved quickly to set up the new Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, which will synchronize efforts across the department and the broader US government to detect, identify, and attribute objects of interest. As per the Pentagon, the military has sent out clear message that it is focused mainly on preventing attacks into restricted airspaces such as military bases. It has also discussed drones and new technologies that Russians and the Chinese develop. Other beings outside of our world were discussed as well. Whether aliens are out there or not is something that neither knows. The United States defense is acting like it's the #1 priority right now. In a world where problems like racial discrimination, injustice, and murder still exist, the military is also involved deeply in this, as we can imagine. But nobody likes to get their hands dirty on speculative news at the end of the day. Let's see how long this UFO office survives.